Hey YouTube, this is Rasmus Park Fan 62. Um, this is Halloween stuff I think is overrated. Now, if you like some of this stuff, that is completely fine, but this is stuff I think personally is overrated. First one is clowns. Now, the thing is, you always know when you look at a Halloween event. So it can be something like Halloween Haunt at Kings Island or Fright Fest at any of the Six Flags parks or any sort of like those type of events or even stuff like, a professional haunted house or something like that. Even some people's personal decorations they put outside during the month of, late September into October. There's always going to be some sort of clown thing. Now, sometimes some of the clown props are better than others. So at Home Depot last year, they had, uh, you know, like that clown stack. That was pretty cool, but the problem was it was all about the same type of thing. I know there was one this year, but they just kind of laugh, which to me is a big disappointment. And it's just, it's one of those things where it's fine, but it's really overdone. The next one is pirates. Now, like clowns, but with pirates, it's a little bit different because ever since you had the movie Pirates of the Caribbean come out a long time ago, that's sort of what took it apart. And while they do okay, the thing is, Pirates are up there, but it's not nearly up there as others on this list. Now, like, if you went to Kings Island during Haunt last year, they had a pirate themed scare zone, which honestly did not was not too bad. And I give the scare actors in there full props for doing that. But the problem with it was, you know, you always know there's going to be one of some type. This next one is kind of two and one together. And there's another one on this list like that as well. And that's like corn based stuff slash messed up country stuff. So, what I mean by this is so at a lot of theme park Halloween events that do like scary stuff, you always know there's going to be like a corn type maze. So you always know there's going to be something like corn stalkers or Field of Screams or something in that ballpark. And as far as like the messed up country aspect of that, so I'm talking about something like if for example Universal is doing like a maze based off Texas Chainsaw Massacre, something like that. If it's done properly, it's not bad. But the problem is, so a park like Six Flags or something, they'll do it, but it's just going to be one of those that's kind of like made in house type thing, and there are times where that's not really done that well. So it's stuff like that. But it's mostly more of the corn based stuff I'm referring to in this. So a lot of the parks have like a corn stalkers or something like that. And that's one of the big things is because with those, all they really have to do is, buy a crap ton of corn stalks and then kind of mix in a lot of like country aspects of it, like a windmill and maybe like a facade of like a house and stuff like that. And there you go. Now, as far as like um, what they wear, I mean, all most of the time, all it's like overalls and stuff like that. So there a lot of that doesn't leave a lot to the imagination. So the next one is um, now this one is not as common. I will say it's still common, but not as common, and that is like aliens and stuff from the outside this planet Earth. Now, aliens and that sort of stuff is not as well known. It have there been mazes on it? Yes. If it's done properly, that is fine. Especially once you start getting into like other aspects of it, which I'll get to in a second. If it's done properly, and it's not alien here, alien here, alien here, alien here, nest here, stuff like that, that is fine. But so something like a Universal Halloween Horror Nights type house with aliens in it, something like that is great. But once you have like a Six Flags type house with aliens in it, it's going to be not so great. So Kings Island has these alien props where one or two of them are just static and then another one kind of moves a little bit and it sounds like it's hissing or something like that. Like those are fine as is. But when you try and put that into like a house, that's where you really get into how can we do this successfully. Now, to add other stuff onto this as well, if you're going to have an alien-based house like that, you're going to want to have other stuff mixed in with it. So I'm talking about stuff like xenomorphs and face huggers and all that other jazz mixed in to help it, look somewhat realistic. If you do that route, that is completely fine. But if it's just, like it on, let's say, a certain budget. The next one is Grim Reapers. Now, Grim Reaper props are not as common as others, like clowns or pirates. It depends on how you do it. So, if you have, let's say, like a Grim Reaper in your graveyard type thing, that is completely fine. It sticks with the death theme and that sort of stuff. But if you just have like a Grim Reaper where, you shouldn't have a Grim Reaper type thing, that kind of makes it look cheesy. But Grim Reapers as a whole is a cool concept because it's something like when you see it, you're like, oh no, type thing. And it's one of those things where it shows if you put in the effort to make it realistic looking or fit in with the theme, like a cemetery, it can fit in very well. Years ago, I had a Grim Reaper in my cemetery. What it wasn't the best when it because it was a hanging type thing instead of like an animatronic. I forgot who had a animatronic Grim Reaper recently, but um, if I had like an animatronic, that would have been better, I guess. But you know, it's one of those things where I have to think it through. And the last one are kind of together, kind of, and that's demon slash ghost slash paranormal. Now, with this, with demons, for example, this is stuff. So, if you have, let's say, you know, like a possession based room, you know, you have the not Pentagon, the like a Ouija board and stuff like that in the room. As long as you don't really use it and it's just a prop, I don't really see the issue with it. But then it's when you start chanting all these different things, saying, "Are you with me?" or something in that ballpark. That is one of the things that, you know, kind of puts you down a road you don't want to be down. And unfortunately, with some, there are people who take it to the extreme. And if that's one thing they want to do, that is fine. But you should know when to stop. Because unfortunately, especially if you are in a house and you're doing it, you have to know when to be like, okay, this is enough. Because unfortunately, you still have to abide by, you know, rules as far as like, you know, in a housing district or whatever. And it's one of those things where if it's done properly and, you know, it's completely fine. It's, so like some of the animatronics Spirit Halloween has had with demons in the past, or the devil, or anything like that, that has been, you know, fine if you can figure out a way to make it look as realistic as you can with, you know, without spending a bunch of money. So, but on the other hand, with ghosts, unfortunately, with ghosts, unless you spend a bunch of money on getting something that's as realistic as it can be, it's going to look cheap and cheesy. So if you, for example, just put a piece of cloth over a foam ball with some string, you know, that's probably, you know, 10 or 15 bucks or so. And it's one of those things where, depending on what you do, you know, so like the ghost I have in the attic during Halloween, a lot of how many are there? The two in the front are essentially just like a foam ball or foam head with a piece of fabric over it I got at Party City several years ago. But then in the back, it's like an actual ghost looking thing. I got at a store a long time ago. Same with the one on the side over this way. Um, but the main problem is if it's done properly, it's great. But a lot of the time, people want to try and be as cheap as they can, and it shows. So it all depends on how you do it. Now, I'm going to add another one onto this list I sort of thought about to a point, and that's any one based off of a like a Netflix show or something on Peacock or something like that. So I'm talking about, stuff like Megan or I'm trying to think what that series is called. Anything like that. Because while those are fine, the problem is most people don't have the money to do a fully themed room like, a park like Six Flags could do for a whole house. So, but if you're a fan of it and you want to do it, that's completely fine, but there are limits to it.